Bomb attack leaves 3 Vietnamese tourists dead in Egypt. 5 arrested in drugs and weapons bust on Lama. And Canto pop star Andy Lau forced to cancel 2 more shows because of illness.
Good evening. In Egypt, a group of tourists were targeted by a roadside bomb in Cairo near the pyramids. 3 Vietnamese tourists and a local guide were killed in the blast. Peter Cavales has our top story.
This is the aftermath of the deadly attack in Egypt. The side of this bus and all its windows were blown out after it was hit by an improvised explosive device. The bomb was apparently hidden near a wall on a street near the Giza pyramids. This eyewitness said he heard a big noise and thought a car had driven off a nearby bridge. After that sound, he saw people running to the tour bus. The coach was carrying travelers from Vietnam, plus a local guide and a driver. One report claimed the bus may have strayed from its intended route, but the driver later said he did not deviate from the secured and safe course he was driving. Egypt's Prime Minister, Mustafa Madbouli, said they have contacted the Vietnamese embassy and are providing medical attention to the injured. He also offered condolences to those that died. The Vietnamese ambassador to Egypt visited some of the injured tourists at a hospital following the blast. The attack comes as Egypt's tourism sector tries to rebound after a drop in revenue following the country's uprising in 2011. The incident could see a tightening of security around churches and associated facilities ahead of the New Year's Eve celebrations and next month's Christmas celebrations of the Coptic Orthodox Church. Over the past 2 years, militant attacks against Christians in Egypt, usually targeting churches or buses, have killed more than 100 people. Egypt has battled Islamic militants for years in the region, but this is the first attack to target foreign tourists in more than a year. The Prime Minister said an attack like this could happen again, and that no country in the world is immune to such violence. Peter Cavales, TVB News.
Meanwhile, more than 600 Hong Kongers currently in Cairo are safe. The Travel Industry Council says their package tours have not been affected by the blast. The Hong Kong government has advised residents to avoid going to Egypt given its significant threat. The outbound travel alert remains red, the second highest in the 3-tier warning system. The Canadian government says one of its citizens detained in China over a work permit issue has been released. Sarah MacGyver was arrested earlier this month for issues linked to her teaching job. A Global Affairs Canada spokesman said on Friday she has returned home. MacGyver's detention followed the arrests of 2 other Canadians on allegations of harming China's national security. The arrests were seen as Beijing's retaliation to Canada's detention of Huawei's finance chief, Meng Wanzhou. She is wanted by Washington for allegedly violating trade sanctions on Iran.
In local news, a police operation today on the normally laid-back Lama Island. 5 Southeast Asians were arrested on the island for selling drugs and storing dangerous weapons. Pinky Wong reports.
Knives, air guns, and brass knuckles. Just a sample of what police found in a raid this morning. They belong to 5 Southeast Asian nationals who live on Lama Island.
For the weapons, they claim that they're just for self-defense. Yes, and there's no sign that they use the weapons to commit any crime. The firearm is just a pistol gun, I can say that. Yeah, air guns, suspected air guns. So we will conduct some examinations whether the jewel will be over the legal limits.
Perhaps more worrying was the drugs the group had in possession, including 20 grams of ice and 4 grams of marijuana. They are worth $13,000.
The purpose of for the drugs, they are only a supply for their friends, mainly their friends for social trafficking.
The arrestees include 3 men and 2 women from the Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. They are aged between 27 and 49. All have Hong Kong identity cards with no tried background. The group was taken onto a police boat to a police station in the city for suspected possession and trafficking of dangerous drugs, as well as possessing offensive weapons. Further investigations will be made on where they got the drugs. Pinky Wong, TVB News.
And earlier today, police concluded a drug bust in Kowloon with 2 arrests and seized substances valued at $5 million. A 23 and 20-year-old were taken away from a unit at Kai Ching Estate in Kowloon Bay. Suspected cocaine and marijuana were located on site. Police believe the flat was used for storing drugs before being sent to entertainment outlets in West Kowloon and the New Territories.
Elsewhere, a male suspect was arrested for attempting to smuggle more than 300 hairy crabs to Hong Kong. Baskets containing 369 hairy crabs and roughly 21 kilos of crab meat were seized yesterday at the Lok Ma Chau control point. They are worth around $48,000. Officers arrested a 46-year-old man who was driving a private car containing these goods. Hairy crab is seasonal and is considered a delicacy. Under existing laws, smugglers can be fined $2 million and sentenced to 7 years in jail.
Cantopop star Andy Lau is scrapping 2 more shows following his throat infection. Halfway through his performance last night, the singer abruptly ended his concert due to his condition. The event organizer announced the cancellations would be scheduled for tonight and tomorrow, with no immediate information on refund arrangements. Fans were only able to purchase concert tickets on the phone or online after a knife attack in August, which saw 1 man in the queue left injured. Of the roughly 60,000 tickets available online, 90% of them were sold on the first day.
Overseas again, there is growing concern in Britain over a recent flood of would-be migrants attempting to cross the English Channel from France. UK Border Force officials have intercepted dozens of migrants in Channel waters since Christmas Day. In what Interior Minister Sajid Javid described as a major incident, British Border Force officials intercepted 2 groups of migrants on Friday. The groups, originally from Syria and Iran, were attempting to cross the English Channel from France in dinghies. According to Sky News, of the 12 migrants rescued by authorities, most were taken to hospital to be treated for hypothermia. At least 40 other migrants were intercepted in Channel waters since Christmas Day. Britain's Immigration Services Union says authorities are still scratching their heads over the worrying trend.
It's a very frightening time. No one truly understands what is driving this. There are lots of theories, and that bits of each theory almost certainly holds elements of truth. But until we're able to stop this flood of individuals, then the pressure on Border Force is going to continue.
Authorities are particularly worried about potential threats to national safety.
We don't know, other than the fact that they have money, we don't know what their backgrounds are, we don't know what ideologies they're bringing in.
An immigration lawyer says London has no choice but to take them in, unless the migrants have already applied for asylum in another country.
But that all depends on whether that person has claimed asylum before in another country or not. If they haven't, which a lot of them haven't, then we're under an obligation. We can't just put them on a boat back or the next plane back to where they came from.
Meanwhile, 32 migrants saved by the German non-profit rescue organisation Sea-Watch are still stranded after a week at sea. That's because no European country is opening its ports to receive them. In Italy, Interior Minister Matteo Salvini says his country in recent years has taken in around 700,000 migrants rescued at sea. According to figures from the UN International Organization for Migration, more than 113,000 migrants and refugees have reached Europe via the Mediterranean Sea since the beginning of 2018. Some 2,200 have died or are still missing in the attempt.
And still ahead tonight. Cold shelters open as Hong Kong feels the chill. Government's plan to recycle Christmas trees after the holidays. And we'll tell you about a Japanese monk's unique way to spreading Buddhism.
Welcome back. you can expect a cold New Year's in Hong Kong. The cold weather warning is in force following a big drop in temperatures today. As Haley Joe reports, people should brace for cold and windy weather in the coming days.
It would have been painful to be outside this morning if you weren't prepared. Many people were seen wearing layers of clothing as the temperature dropped about 5 to 6 degrees from yesterday due to the winter monsoon affecting southern China. It's very cold, I'm wearing 3 layers now, this man said. Showing us how many layers she was wearing, this grandma said she was worried that she would get sick because of the cold weather. The observatory says the cold weather will stretch into the weekend and stick around until New Year's Day.
The minimum temperature will be around 12 degrees in the urban areas and a few degrees lower in the new territories. Moderate to fresh northerly winds and occasionally strong offshore tomorrow. We're expecting cold weather will persist and it will be windier in the following few days.
The temperature is expected to be as low as 11 degrees on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Authorities advise people to check their heaters for damage before use, avoid using portable electric heaters inside a bathroom, and place them away from any combustibles. It also is not safe to use an electric heater fitted with a 2-pin plug. Some 18 temporary shelters have been opened for the people in need across the city. They will remain open while the cold weather warning is in force. Haley Joe, TVB News.
Members of the public and shopping malls will start disposing of their Christmas decorations after the holiday. Are there other options for the unwanted natural Christmas trees besides sending them to landfills? Sharon Tang has more about a government recycling plan.
Do people simply throw away their natural Christmas trees after the holiday season? I try sawing up the tree trunk and drying the wood before using it to make a platform, this woman says. Here at the flower market in Mongkok, a stall owner says in order for Christmas trees, including pine trees, to stay a little longer, they should be kept in shady areas. But an expert says Hong Kong is not a suitable place for these trees. Jim Chi-yong, a social sciences research professor at the Education University of Hong Kong, says that's because the city is hot and humid during the summer. Buying Christmas trees made of paper or plastic and reusing them each year, he says, would be the greenest option. For those who are looking into ways to recycle the natural Christmas trees that they no longer want, here's the deal. Between January 4th and the 7th, members of the public can take their trees to 8 locations around town. Commercial organizations are welcome to join too, but they can only send their trees to the Eco Park in Tuen Mun. As for the other 7 collection points, only real Christmas trees no more than 2 meters high will be accepted. Over the past 2 years, the Environmental Protection Department has recycled more than 40 tons of Christmas trees through the scheme. The department has reminded the public to remove all Christmas lights and decorations from the trees first to facilitate subsequent recycling processes. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
Religion divides, but music unites. Kenny Chu has the story on a Japanese monk who is playing the right notes in his unconventional approach to spreading Buddhism.
This is Yakushiji Kanho, a monk from a Zen temple in western Japan. He preaches Buddhism by incorporating electronic music and ancient scriptures. The Heart Sutra is about human connection. I hope by promoting it, people will learn to cherish their relationship with others, said Yakushiji. Noticing that some people may find Buddhist scriptures hard to comprehend, he tried to use music as well to make them more accessible.
People memorize sutra by music, and what Kanho did is amazing. Buddhism needs to be applicable to now, otherwise it'll be just lost. And music is a better medium to propagate this.
I never thought that chanting is so interesting and so charming.
Here's what a local monk thinks.
We can present Buddhism as a religion. We can present Buddhism as a rock song. But now we are now presenting Buddhism as a kind of psychotherapy, some kind of counseling.
He noted the SAR government began treating Hong Kong's 6 major religions more fairly after the handover.
For many years, the schools that are operated by these Western religions, they are more respected by local people.
Van Sik said he noticed a growing number of people who are interested in Buddhism teachings but may not be devoted to the religion due to rituals and precepts they need to follow. Perhaps Yakushiji's music can help change that.
I will start looking at the Hashitara, like what he said, and also the core values of Buddhism. Maybe perhaps will become my religion.
Kana Chu, TVB News.
There's a way for commuters to save a few bucks when the new government plan comes into effect next Tuesday. Locals can recover as much as $300 on what they spent on public transport that month. This applies to rides on the MTR franchised buses, ferries, trams and green minibuses. Some red minibus routes approved by the Transport Department are also included. From the 1st of January, you'll be entitled to a 25% subsidy if you spend more than $400 on public transport that month. Subsidies can be collected in mid-February. There's no need to pre-register your Octopus card. Simply tap it at designated collection points available at each MTR station, designated piers, and convenience stores to claim up to $300 back. A police manhunt is underway after an assault on 5 monks at a church in the Austrian capital on Thursday. At least one of the attackers demanded money and valuables. Police said the incident happened at about 1:30 p.m. local time at the Maria Immaculata Church in northern Vienna. No service was underway at the time. One of the perpetrators was said to have threatened a monk with a gun before forcing him to the ground and beating him. Police found the monks tied up nearly 3 hours later. And that's the news.